How many more times do I have to look at this Chocobo's ass?
I guess still less times than you look at the rear ends of characters in Final Fantasy X.
Oh, so it was funny in Zootopia.
Why furries exist?
Oh, come on, Tio. Furries give us good content.
Blame the Sonic fandom, that's what I
Well, he knows
okay,
a furry,
to be fair, sure,
so...
the Sonic fandom are far from the only ones out there.
No, I know that. I know they weren't the first, but people choose to blame them anyway. So you know what? Go ahead.
Well, look at the bright side too. Unlike Zootopia didn't create I'm guessing you would call an abomination that's half cat, half human for a protagonist.
And hey, Shiroi,
the internet for that.
And hey, Shiroi, regarding the Sonic fanbase, I guess we can at least boast that we have fans so great that we can make pretty good games ourselves to the point where Sega even hired.
Anyway, we got that item called the Beloved's Gift, which is an item that's going to be necessary for the SAS main quest. Also, I really like this song here. Like, it sounds unprofessional, the way it's recorded and performed. However, this is one of those cases where it actually makes sense to have the song be like this, because it's supposed to emulate...
Like the accordion man in Sonic 06.
Yeah, it's supposed to emulate a street singer, someone who's just literally picked up a guitar and is just, trying to make a few bucks with it. So it makes sense that the song would sound, I guess crude is the best word I can put it.
What is this I'm actually feeling? A bout of realism and immersion? What a weird... What an attempt.
These alpha state games that actually have decent musicians in the background.
It's just one of those things, by far, the area of this game where the most effort went into is the music. Like, it's... I'm glad that finally I have a 13 soundtrack that I like, but we literally took a step back in literally every other aspect.
Yeah, it's
except
like
for, I guess,
forward, I could choose step
except for the
backward.
battle system.
Yeah, true. There's that too. But
shame.
It's just
shame that we only have one playable character for it, though.
But don't you see, Jova? Like Matt told us. It's all about theme, you see. Lightning is going on a journey of solitude. Don't you see? It's all thematic.
Okay, whether or not that's actually true...
It's so charming, it's so cathartic how this CDNT shits completely on that.
Okay, whether or not that's even true, let's be quite honest, what's even the value in a story like that? Like, I mean, let's think about it like this. The 13 trilogy has shown so far that being on your own is a bad thing. Lightning trying to go on her own in the first 13 game nearly caused doom. Sarah trying to go on her own in the second game, well... We all saw how that went whenever she was on her own, separate from Noel.
Specifically sent to avoid that, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, okay, so, if that really is the theme of this story, then congratulations, Matt. This makes the story even worse in hindsight because there's not really much value to it. Nobody really wants to see that story done again. Like, I mean, that story in and of itself is already a tough one to sell, considering how a lot of people kind of turn their noses up at the whole negative-wise plots like that. Like, and considering the reputation of this series already... What does this actually add to the series?
Nothing. It's just pretentious bollocks. Go ahead, Shira.
About what you said about the first game, that's probably down to Toriyama, because I think the only reason anything fell apart is because nobody can function without Lightning, because she's best waifu.
The weird thing is, though, is like, well, two people did it perfectly fine without Lightning in 13-2 up until the very end.
It's so abundantly clear that Toriyama absolutely hated how fans didn't like 13, and this is him, lashing out at the fans. Okay, fine, I'm going to destroy this, and I'm going to jam it up down your throat.
Yeah, I'm destroying this world and everything, but I'm taking you with me.
Literally,
as we will see by the end of this.
Gosh, I am so glad I was not a fan of Final Fantasy before
Even the dog is getting in my... Jesus Christ, why even the dogs are rude?
These are some of the rudest NPCs I've seen in an RPG, and that's saying something.
Attention. Give the dog attention.
Game, can I please go throughout an entire part without someone pushing me around, please? That would be nice.
Now,
we have conversations about not talking over each other. It would be very nice if the NPCs actually cooperated with this as well, just...
Who knew the afterlife could be so dickish?
Anyway, here's what these shops do. The Forge is for where you can buy weapons and improve them. using materials.
Let me guess. If you bought the DLC, those weapons pale in comparison to the whole costume you can get. Lightning.
Actually, no. Most of the DLC weapons that you get are very average. They don't really, completely nullify the actual in-game weapons, so that's fine.
Don't they give Lightning different moves and abilities?
If there's one thing that this trilogy has taught me in great detail is that when it comes to weapons, there's not really one that actually is better than the others. Every one of them has some minor ups, but other equal downs, in a sense that probably be better. It's the classic weapon passive skills that are actually not really useful, like +5 physical attacks if you're like 100% HP.
I mean, I guess to be fair, there is a time and place to have a sort of a weapon system like that where you have to choose which one you want to have. Like if you want to emphasize strength over defense, so you're willing to bolster your strength but lower your defense. So do these weapons also, change Lightning's animations and moves? And I don't just mean like
no, it's the outfits that do. Only the outfits do that.
So does she actually do different moves in battle with the different outfits?
No, different victory poses, and occasionally different fanfares.
Even with different weapons.
Hold on, Teo. I really want to point this out because this is a really great tip for people.
Outside of the fact that the Hope is still talking.
When you get to this point in the game, right here, check this ball. Fandara level 2. That's the best spell in the game. I'm not even kidding.
It's typical of Square where the second phase of the Thunder spell turns out to be better than the third and final phase.
And I don't see what you mean, but whatever. I'll move on.
Well, Pedro. It's even like that in Kingdom Hearts. Like, I mean, you want to use Fandara over Fandaga if you're going against a single opponent.
I've always used Fandaga and I've never really complained, but whatever. The point is...
I'm not saying that Fandaga sucks. What I'm saying is, when you're going up against a single opponent, Fandara is more effective than Fandaga, which is definitely more.
So yeah, there you go, Jova. See, it's interesting you were talking about outfits because I will literally just showing them off quickly there, and I will also be showing off them in battle later in a later part.
Basically, Jova, for context, even if a weapon in appearance is different, like for example, Yuna's staff or Aerith baton, Lightning treats them equally in terms of actual combat, like it's supposed to be a one-hand sword.
Which is odd, because in 10-2, I recall them actually going the lengths to actually give them different battle animations for the different costumes they wore, as well.
That's because, Jova, in that game, they had different classes, which were reflected by having different weapons altogether.
Again, though, doesn't that kind of show that 10-2, a game made on the PS2, has more love and care put into it than, this game? And weren't both made by the same guy?
Same team, in general.
Yeah, so again, I mean, look, 10-2 has its problems. I will not deny that, but I at least had genuine fun with that game. This game,
Well, it's mostly because 10-2
very again.
Well, the thing about 10-2 is that it adopted a Yokai Watch style of tone where, for the most part, it's lighthearted and comedic.
Which was actually a different take on Final Fantasy for a while.
Wait,
however, basically...
still here?
I do think World of Final Fantasy did that better, though. But anyway, moving on to this.
Yep. Whatever they see.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the world has ended, the chaos is engulfed everything and Valhalla doesn't exist anymore. The entire Oracle thing should be broken and non-existent anymore. Why is there an Oracle drive here?
Maybe God willed it?
Also, sneak peek for the ending.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. That was actual footage from the ending we just saw earlier.
The hunter.
Fake.
Yeah. It's photoshopped. It was photoshopped.
I mean, look. Not only does this go against Noel's character, but Noel really doesn't have a motive. Like, maybe... Okay.
But don't you see, Jova? 500 years of angst have really pushed them over the edge.
Yeah. Maybe when we actually see those
details. I believe that if it was another character, but no.
Noel's about as interesting as a loaf of bread.
Not to mention the fact that Noel's whole character has been that he comes from an apocalyptic future, so why would 500 more years all of a sudden wear him down?
Especially considering you have now more people to talk and do things with.
Which, again, brings me to my confusion of this. Like, how dead are these people? Like, did everyone die already, or are these people who...
No, remember...
I already explained to you. Basically, everyone counts as, quote-unquote, dead but in a sense they do not age anymore. They can still die by physical injury or disease, but technically they do not age like they live in this. They are stuck in the age they were when they died, and they cannot reproduce.
Then why
Think-
not
think
call
in-
them? Then why not call them cursed or something? I mean, well, dead implies that we're in the
Because that
afterlife.
would imply this game would have some respect and importing stuff, better stuff like Dark Souls. They do not have that luxury.
Whether we want it to or not. You're going to try to destroy the world.
Like you could even use a simple terms like Revenant.
You know, that seems to be the 13 Trilogy's problem in a nutshell. It tries to make these complex terms for terms we already know and very well have good terms for.
True.
That's one of the primary signs of a bad writer. Try to disguise how blatantly shallow your plot is by throwing in a lot of made-up words that don't mean anything. Try to sound important.
Don't get me wrong, but the Final Fantasy series is full of made-up names for other simple terms. But
Oh,
here, in
it's
the
not
case
just
of
the
this 13
script.
trilogy, it's just all of them are really unnecessary. Like the CF regarding about the undead. But anyway, I'm talking over now.
It's not just the script, it's also stuff like the jobs and the roles and whatnot. Like, you know, commander, as opposed to being,
You
know,
must die, and he runs away.
Alright, allow me to recap. Basically, here's what happened. Noel saw in the Oracle Drive, like we just saw, that he's supposed to kill Lightning. So we were thinking, okay, so he's just gonna, so what, you became a puppet and you're just gonna do this because the Oracle Drive tells you? Well, let's just say there's one extra reason why he's actually going along with killing Lightning.
Let me guess, he's broken from the events of 13-2, pretty much going all south, despite his best efforts.
That would have been a better
Twist,
yeah. That's the sad part.
Caius Strictum?
No.
No. Again,
after 13-2,
Again,
Noel and Kyle
again.
pretty much don't talk to each other on Facebook.
Again, I want to remind everyone else, 13-2's ending ended on the cliff note hanger of Caius and Yuel having some evil plan that they are now putting into motion. And
well,
now,
it's a shame too, Teo, because if this was Ni no Kuni 2, maybe they could talk on Leaf Book. Basically, Joe, but there's a thing in Ni no Kuni 2 called Leaf Book, which is literally fantasy magical equivalent of Facebook, where people literally have this magical device where they basically do social media. And the game has an entire thing, and the game takes advantage of that to do extra world building. Like, for example, whenever something happens in the main plot, you can check Leaf Book to see people's overall reactions to what's going on.
so you literally hear it through the grapevines.
Yeah, basically. To give you an idea, there's even a subplot where Tani, the pirate girl, she steals Evan's Leaf Book on a regular occasion to try to, take photos and get good at it. And she even gets tips from the comments telling her off. Oh, you should take the photo from further back. It's out of focus and stuff like that.
Cute.
Cue Professor Oak telling you that it's so and rejecting them.
It's like I said before, that's one of the great things about that game is that it has 1 foot firm into 90s traditional JRPG stuff, but it also has the other foot firmly established in today. It's a really great blending of trying to capture the magic of the old days, but at the same time, it's an JRPG that lives in today's market.
So it's like a Goofy movie that merges more modern stuff with old classy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, Hino's already proven with stuff like Yokai Watch that he's actually capable of getting in tune with what the young people do nowadays to make sure his media reflects that and doesn't become outdated. So.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, it's like how
where
with
do we need to
Nintendo.
get, to know?
I'm sorry, Teo, could you repeat that?
Where do we need to get Noel?
Basically, we have to go to the graveyard. We have to go to the graveyard. The problem is that the graveyard is this massive detour that we have to take.
What kind of?
Phone.
I really do.
There you go. Now that we have the number, we can finally.
And let's see if we do it again.
Victor Zaz, is that you?
There you go. See, if you do manage to get all the numbers, the number just shows it us, so just do whatever. However, if you don't get all the numbers, you get the ones that you did get, and you can try and guess the other one.
There you go. There's no fucking cord.
There's no cord in the phone. How lazy can you be? Okay, again.
Guys, you can do that, but like for example, this shot.
There you go. This shot. There you go. Just do that shot throughout the entire thing.
Or heck,
This
or
is amateur.
heck, it's a Square Enix game. Why didn't you just have a Motorola on her?
Yeah, those fucking cell phone.
You know, Teo, I'm starting to think. You know, Teo, I'm starting to think. Naoko Mizuno played this game, saw this kind of cheap stuff, and she thought, I can up the ante on this shit. And the result is for SCWRM. The ultimate culmination of extremes of this particular problem.
Maybe. Hey, you know what's funny? Because SCWRM also, well, okay, to give SCWRM credit, at least its gameplay is more consistently fun than this one. Whereas this one, this one, it's strictly just the battle system that's fun, sadly.
The thing
but
about
yeah, I definitely see where you're coming
has a
from.
great
Though.
battle system. Sorry, go ahead.
I definitely see where you're coming from, though.
Lightning Returns has a great battle system. The problem is that everything around the game battle system is terrible. The exploring dungeons in this game is so boring and stuff. Whereas SCWRM, while the dungeons are really shallow and forgettable, they're really short, which makes them easier to complete. And I mean, it's still technically shallow, and some would argue even technically more shallow than this one. However, because of their fast, short nature, they're much more tolerable.
And I'll give SCWRM credit, there's a lot more variety in the moveset. Like, here's kind of a golden rule, like, okay, yeah, RPGs and JRPGs back then, sure, maybe they had just one character and there wasn't that much variety. Here's the difference, though. Games back then were a lot more shorter, so we wouldn't get tired of it. For as fun as the battle system is here, Lightning does not get that much variety, even when you get to her full potential. And I'm not just talking about the animations, I'm also talking about the spells. Like, let's compare this to a game of Kingdom Hearts, which was also made by some of the people from Kingdom Hearts helped out.
Let me put this out. Notice how I used 2 overclocks, but because the game showered me with 4 EP, which is, remember, each overclock costs, I recovered all my EP while still breaking the battle completely. You're starting to see what I'm talking about? Getting EP in this game is so fucking easy.
Yeah.
To the point where it's flat out game breaking. You can basically render the game's primary mechanics completely fucking useless.
What the heck is going on in the background?
I have no idea.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, religious cult shit. Because, as we all know, the subtlety of Motomo Toriyama is perfect for handling this subject.
The other Final Fantasy had religious stuff in it.
Hold
so
on.
we
That
will
looks
have
like the
these
same
ones.
structure that fallacy that kidnapped Sarah in 13 is from.
Play Nier Automata if you want to see something like this done better.
Become as gods.
Become as gods. Become as gods.
The time has come.
Wow, that voice.
Wicked savior.
What the heck is this?
Now to Etro.
Don't worry, Joe. They're just the Children of Etro. They're not important. The
No,
game
no,
even
no.
treats them as not important,
I'm
so
not
don't
talking about
bother.
them, I was talking about the
sorry.
woman they're about to
Give me a time.
sacrifice.
Oh, she's just a random victim that they mistook for Lightning. Don't bother. She's not important. Go to 19 minutes. 1832.
She has come at last. It's the god savior.
So this was all just an elaborate trap?
1834.
All right.
One shot.
Hey, Noel.
You're late, Hunter.
Wait, did he do that?
All right, get ready
Just a
and
prophecy foretold.
Wait.
click.
That's the thing, Jova. This cutscene is so confusing.
When could Noel do that all of a sudden?
You murder innocent
Because he can, Jova.
me to do your bidding?
I mean, I know I'm prophesized to kill Lightning, and I know I said I'm gonna kill her myself, but how shame on you people for killing innocent people.
Falling out.
Don't insult me like
Remember, Jova, if Toriyama wants something to happen, regardless of how stupid or cartoonic it is, it will happen because he is the director.
You know, Noel was one of the better things of 13-2. Why you gotta ruin him?
Well, and if by better you mean like the character was bland, but at the very least he wasn't annoying the shit out of me, I guess, yeah, he was one of the
Well, I
better
mean-
things.
And we don't actually fight them, but instead kill them in a cutscene.
What I mean is that Noel was a character who was
Well,
nowhere...
Teo, at least we're actually seeing it happen.
Anyway, what I mean is like, Noel was a character in 13-2 who was nowhere near as stupid as a lot of other characters where he actually got stuff done and he didn't get tricked easily either. Like, well,
I
he
would
actually
agree with
did
that,
question
Jova.
stuff.
Yeah,
I would agree with that, Jova, but the fact that is, despite not being stupid, Noel in 13-2 was how should I say,
And you're the one who's gonna make it
not
happen?
like passing.
Bring it on,
He let a
man.
lot of
I've been
things just
fighting
passed
Destiny
on and
for a
said,
long time now, and
whatever.
I'm getting good at it.
Well,
Yeah, remember, the reason Null even exists because Lightning literally just pulled a random guy from one random timeline. Oh,
Remember, a guy that was committing suicide if his dream is anything to go by.
oh, I'm not going to say that he's a shining beacon of a character. What I'm saying is, like, oh, he was one of the best characters in 13 too. Like, you know.
Which, well, that's a thing, Joe. It's not saying a lot, sadly.
I know. Now, okay, you want to know a character who actually I did legit like from start to finish? Saz in 13, which we have not seen yet in this game.
Well,
One thing that
Joe,
sorry.
you're not gonna like him.
What did they do?
I'm jumping ahead a bit, not in sick of his game, but the point being, like, what has done Toriyama?
He was
Like,
a good.
I know
I think he was a
wasn't his
good
wife.
character.
That's the odd joke answer, and the odd joke obvious answer. But the point being, he was the saving grace of the first game.
Did he end
in
up?
general.
I wonder, did he end up being popular, like more popular than Lightning in polls or something?
Gotta be
More
to
like,
that. Something
considering
we don't know.
the bad reception of the game, Joe, in
Another
general,
prophecy,
he seemed to, it being him the only nice guy and the one who actually asked fucking questions, you know, people actually tended to bond with him. And Toriyama, as a response, decided to shove him away from the second game and only relegating to a DLC, but you can only access if you're not a minor because it involves gambling up your ass. And now there's this game, Jova, but all in due time.
You know,
Just-
again, it's a
just-
trend. It's like, well, I mean, it's like I say, Noel himself was by no means a brilliant character, but he was one of the better characters who did the least stupid things and actually got stuff done, and yet now he's here being a plot stagnation at best.
For your information, in true tradition, with like the previous games also did with 13 characters, Saz is actually one of the very first party members you get in the City of Peromnia, and he's actually one of the most nicest characters where he's wearing his full in character. So
thank
just so
goodness.
you know, the problem is not in the character, is in Toriyama, as usual.
Yeah, as usual. Anyway, I didn't talk about the sorcery shop that we just passed through again. The sorcery shop baffles me to no end. All you can really do is pay to upgrade your spells, except they don't level. It's supposed to level up. You cannot turn a thunder into a Thundara. You can only turn a thunder level 1 into a thunder level 2, 3, 4. I have yet to realize through all the times I've played this game what exactly leveling up a spell even does.
I'm guessing it raises
more
its
damage.
damage output.
Yeah.
I guess too, but when I tried experimenting with them, I didn't really notice any much of a difference. So I just kind of stopped bothering, and I still managed to platinum this goddamn thing without even bothering with it.
I won.
I mean,
Well, there is a similar mechanic in Final Fantasy Type 0. They have their own Crystarium, and spending some loot materials, you can actually upgrade your spells in different ways, range, power effect. So maybe that, similar to that. I don't know. Well, the fact that you don't really need it, though, I don't know. Well, it's also tied to the fact that elemental spells here are more used just for the stagger gauge rather than actually dealing damage. So maybe there's that. They actually speed up the breaking the game.
so yeah, in another attempt at doing padding the game out, before we can go in, we have to find a knight's Etro crest. Sorry,
I'm sorry,
a
weren't
knight's.
these guys trying to kill us just a cutscene ago? And yet that guy doesn't recognize the savior, even though they mistook
got
a
over it,
pink-haired
I
girl
guess.
for her.
Fortunately, there's a crest of Etro right here in the place where the
So
Oracle
what
Drive
even
was.
the point?
So membership
Padding.
is that easy.
Padding.
It's not even great padding because you spend like 2 minutes on it, at least making over difficult.
So
if you
Tia,
want.
which do you think is more padding, this or the Aladdin PlayStation 1 game?
Oh god. Well, Joe,
I had to play that one.
I actually did when I was a kid.
Let's
Like,
just say most Renaissance Disney games were good. Aladdin
I
was
didn't even
not.
know developed that. I actually don't remember.
I-
All the time I thought it was
I still
Traveler's
rule-
Tales, but nowadays I don't think so.
That's a shame, too, because that's-
I'll discuss more in the after cutscene.
For comparison's sake, almost every other Disney Renaissance character got multiple games. Aladdin, after the PlayStation game, didn't get any more except for an appearance in Kingdom Hearts. That should tell you some things.
That's a shame too, because I still hold the Mega Drive / Genesis game as one of the best licensed games ever made.
It was.
Like,
We're on the same
anyway.
side once. Friends, I guess.
But that was such a long.
Okay, Lumina is part of Lightning's subconscious. Like, I mean, it's gotta be.
The main problem, again, like I've said, the main problem with Lumina is that, there you go, see? All she does is show up and blatantly state the freaking obvious and basically explain why we're...
sad piano song. Oh.
Yeah, there you go. Turns out Uriel is involved, because of course she is. It doesn't... Never mind the fact that she fucking died in the second game.
Maybe it was another UL that came back, since there's multiple ULs throughout time.
Of course. Anyway... 13... Actually, is this for... Yeah, 13-2 flashback. Well, again, all Lumina does is set out the fucking obvious and explain why we're supposed to feel something and why. Like, it's... like,
Which is why it goes into
it's the pinnacle example of a writer completely treating the audience like they're fucking jackasses who can't comprehend his magnificent vision.
Which is
Like-
why my theory is that Lumina was born from Lightning's self-conscious, because that's gonna be the writer's way of excusing the fact that she's being told the exact obvious.
Sorry.
Well, that actually raises a point, Jova. Why does she look like Sarah and not like Lightning herself?
Maybe Lightning looked like Sarah when
Well,
she
there
was
is
younger.
there is an explanation that is given at the ending for that, but again, I'm not gonna say it because I'll say it when
Maybe it's
it's
like
like one of those things. Sorry, it's just like one of those things. Yeah, he wants you dead. No shit, we already knew
Just
that.
established that.
how sad. The boy
I will-
that
I
she
will
barely
give-
knew
I'll
and
give-
gave errands wants to kill
Jesus
her.
Christ. I'll give David Cage credit. At the very least, he doesn't literally stop every single 5 minutes to explain the goddamn subtext of every fucking scene.
True, instead tells you how to feel because emotions, so one
Yeah.
poison for another, I guess.
I'll still
True.
take, like you yourself said, Teo, I'll still take David Cage stuff over this.
Oh well, I actually feel more entertained with David Cage's product like this. This is just like this is actually a good segue. Like the previous cutscene paints a good example.
Whether he wants
The 13 trilogy has always tried to take itself seriously, most of the time.
Overly seriously, might
Overly
I
seriously.
add.
But this
There's
game,
basically practically no comedy, and when they try to do comedy,
it's cringe as fuck.
This is
yeah.
what happens
Don't-
when you
don't
have
even
such a
joke
piss
it.
poor budget that you can't even animate stuff for
Oh, and
comedy
now you're
cues.
actually fighting the cultists. But anyway, like the previous cutscene shows in case that this game is using the excuse of the whole end of the world thing to be as bleak and mean-spirited as possible.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
even do that properly, honestly. I mean, at best we get, okay, this place looks bleak, but other areas look just fine.
Like, guys, you can have a story with a theme similar to that, like for example, Akira, the OVA. But here, I don't know, it's just the fact that the characters are so poorly written that it just doesn't work.
This is the issue. It's like, well, this game, they obviously want us to feel a certain way, but they don't have the budget or the effort to commit to it. Like, you know, at least with Final Fantasy XIII, when they put their budget into it, they could actually animate stuff well enough so we knew the emotions the characters were conveying. We knew the tones that they were trying to set. Yes, those tones could be stupid. The characters did a lot of stupid and really terrible things, Lightning especially. But at the very least, it was coherent, and yeah, as sloppy as it was, they did get better by the end. Like, you know, that was the theme, about making stuff better. Here, we're essentially an errand girl for a god who we don't even know how evil he really is, just giving
again,
us the
Joel,
chance
at
to
this
save
point,
everyone
whatever
as much as
identity-
possible.
Well, Joe, at this point again, whatever identity the trilogy was supposed to have is completely gone.
And that's a problem. It's like, okay, you want to make changes to the original idea? That's fine. Sometimes you gotta make changes. But the problem here is like, well, this is a game where, let's be quite honest, do we know exactly what our end goal is? Like, yes, we have the idea to save as many souls as possible, but do we actually have an idea of what comes after that? Like, you know, at least
We do. Remember, Joe, we already established that.
Yeah,
if we do
hope-
that,
hope-
God
hope-
will
hope-
revive
hope-
Sarah.
Okay.
Oh god, hold on, we're about to get
Oh, never mind. Yeah,
we're about to get actually Noel's resolution.
Oh,
Already.
yeah, you're right. It is in this part. Oh, for some reason I was under the impression that it wasn't.
So they bring up a plot point of Noel about to kill Lightning, only to resolve it
Ending
so
of
quickly.
the second game, I
Is the
think.
future.
No. We're just remember this is
Oh,
the prediction of Noel.
I forgot.
There you go. We just saw this earlier. Why are you showing this to us again?
Reborn.
So you're telling me that for 500 years Noel started
Hold on, Joe.
masturbating over
The hills are alive.
All this
with a
time,
sound of
you've
fuck
been
you.
dreaming of a new world where you're reunited
The
with
sad
Noel.
dreams of the damned.
So yeah, you're telling me that for 500 years Noel stayed there jerking off to this particular Oracle
If I kill the
drive.
savior, then the world will be reborn.
Damn.
Dude, use the internet, man. Come
Okay,
on.
question.
Remember, Theo, this is a technological world that doesn't have internet.
You know that story.
Although to be fair, it's still better than having a futuristic world that has no guns.
So, let me get this straight. This Oracle Drive is telling him that if he kills the Savior, that'll save the world, even though literally almost everything else in the world says otherwise.
So yeah,
Like, maybe they...
Fucking, I'm gonna remind you again, too. Nino Kuni 2 has social media. No freaking Kuni 2 has social media. And
Wait.
this doesn't have internet.
So there you
So-
go, John. We're explaining. There's no Noel in Hope who tried to make the world a better place after the ending of 13-2, but something went wrong for all of them.
What exactly...
Ace Attorney is probably more advanced than this.
Again, what exactly happened? Like, yeah, we saw a bunch of dark clouds show up at the end of 13-2, but what happened? Was the world eclipsed in
Well, they
darkness?
just explained it to Jova.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
here's the
actually a
basic gist
good-
of it.
oh.
Here's the basic gist of it, Jova. What happened actually was, he just explained it. Basically, Noel, Adult Hope, and Snow gathered ally themselves so they could create some kind of
Yeah, I got that.
syndicate so they could try to.
Yeah, Pedro, Java was
No, I got that. I'm just asking, what exactly happened that
physically after
triggered
everyone
this?
died,
Oh, that.
Chaos
In that
Wars?
case, I honestly don't know. Sorry.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's actually a good segue. We
but it
know
does, and I'm sorry.
based on what the characters are saying, but we actually haven't never been shown the
500
fact
years
that.
ago, I committed the
But
ultimate
like
sin.
the best guess
more
is
death
that
on the
everyone
conscience
was
won't do anything
invested
to me.
by this cloud, and that's
has
it.
to be
The
done.
only major thing that happened was the world changing geography.
And this ties back into what I was originally saying when I'm
God,
saying
the
that
frame
we
rate.
don't know where we're going with this. Like, yes, the end goal is to save as many people so that God will supposedly bring back Sarah. But what exactly comes after that? Like, again, they say these people are dead, but really they're not dead, just stuck in a limbo where they're eternal and can't have birth. By the way, Undertale did that stuff better, just gonna say. But yeah,
But sure.
my point
She
is
even
like...
says that she's not even sure she's human anymore.
Like, seriously, with 13, the end goal was clear. Kill the Fal'Cie, and then supposedly Cocoon can be free. Yeah, we ended up having to move to Pulse, but all the same, that was the end goal in sight. With 13-2, it was simple. Try and find Lightning. Even we, the audience, knew that Lightning was in Valhalla, so that's where we needed to look for her. Yeah, the ending ended up screwing all that up, but at least we had an idea. Here... Again, the goal was literally just to save Sarah. Like, do we even know how much that's even gonna save the human race? How much that's gonna save the world? Like, you know, I'll give 13 and 13-2 credit. The standards and priorities were greater. Like, yeah, I get that 13-2 was about just looking for Lightning, but Lightning was at that point the only one truly in danger. Although then again, Sarah and Noel didn't help things, but my point being, in 13 we were trying to save Cocoon.
Caius committed suicide. No did jack shit.
Think the same for me?
My God, are you guys still talking?
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
by the way, in case you need some technical thing, if you face Noel here in one of the later days, he will have his official first alternate costume from 13-2, the one that looks like
Damn
a
it,
fucking
Lightning.
clown.
Is this all you are now?
Why?
Because
Which is interesting because this is usually the first quest that most people go for.
I guess for the sake of exploring the possibilities.
I guess.
Find her in death.
God, hold the edge.
Oh, I'll find her, all right. Count on it. But we'll both be alive in a new future in a new world that I'm gonna make happen with my
You're
own
trusting
two
this
hands.
from an inanimate orb.
Even if it means
You know what?
Even
Go
exist
ahead and
anymore.
try.
Oh yeah, we have to fight. No.
What is
Great.
even going on? Oh, that was a loading
The
screen, I
absolute
guess.
state of this trilogy.
So, Lightning's just saying, I'll throw everything away just to save Sarah. Oh, you mean just like in those other games? Oh wait, no, like, seriously, Lightning, we're in present.
There we go.
I mean, I guess you could argue maybe it's some character development for Lightning from the first 13 game where she was like, whatever about Sarah until like the very end. But even still though, I'm sorry, where's this whole I'll give up the whole
Oh,
universe
he's
for
all
Sarah
good at
coming
that.
from? Like, I mean, Lightning's never been the kind to just care about one person that much. Like, I mean, again, in 13, she pretty much tried to disregard her feelings for her sister. And in 13 too, she was all about protecting the goddess. Who, wait, is the goddess even alive?
No, Pedro is dead.
So, Lightning's whole guard duty was pointless in that game.
I love how we just killed him mid-attack.
Oh, God, Noel's dead. Shiroi, how do you feel?
It's okay. It's okay, but because I received 10 EP for each of the main bosses, which means all of the EP that I spent gets written going back to me because you know, breaking the game is fun, I guess.
Also, what did you expect me to say about it, Jova?
I don't know.
Yeah, I have to be honest, Jova, again. No. Yeah, he's one of the saving grace of 13 too, but he's
Now
not
he's one of the worst
a
things
well-written
here.
character.
I still think using the word saving grace imply other stuff. I think a better change of words.
I'm
is-
I'll
just
do it for
grasping
your
at
sake.
anything I can.
Even if it means having your blood on my hands.
Jesus, can someone tone the edge down?
Remember, Teo.
Seriously, okay.
People jokingly said it all the time in .hack GU because Seo spouted these kind of lines all in a while and had a very spiky, leathery costume all the time. But this is on another level.
So, honest question, where is this coming from? Like, you know, the ending of 13.2 literally
Oh my
had...
god, I hate this song from 13. Sorry, Joe.
The ending of 13.2 literally had Noel getting over the fact that Yule had to die. In fact, that was what separated him from Caius. Noel understood that Yule had to die, Caius didn't. That's kind of, you know, what made Caius the bad guy. So, why is Noel all of a sudden all obsessed with Yule?
Because remember, Jova, see, the problem is Yule died before she. I'm sorry for my wording, but I can't find another way to say it. You see, Jova, Yule died before she gave him any pussy. So now he's all frustrated that he never got to get laid. And there you go. Now he's forced,
There are
like
better
Teo just said. Now he's forced to jack off to that Oracle Drive recording for 500 years, and that will bring any man to madness.
Again, my point being, he was never that obsessed with Yule in the first place. Where is this whole thing coming from?
You destroyed the machine.
That's just a thing, Jova. Okay, you see, Jova. Here's what happened. After moving on from Yule, he tried to move on and have other relationships, but no women ever got to be with him because he's way too edgy
Jesus Christ, that tear
for
was
them.
terribly animated.
Yeah.
So wait, is that the actual canon reason, or are you just giving...
No, I'm just pulling this out of my ass, of course.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if that were the reason. And what? No, don't you even.
Yes, they will.
So Yule was in that ball the whole time.
Sure, why the fuck not?
And I guess Bambi's mom didn't die either.
What do you mean he did the right thing? I'm sorry.
But Teo, don't you see? We never actually saw it happen, so the possibilities are endless.
I'm sorry. What do you mean he did the right thing? All he did was...
And not even kidding, this is enough to save Noel's soul.
He got. You will just told them, don't worry. One day we'll finally both get laid, and that is sufficient to make him get over his edge.
I don't think a simple apology is going to cut it.
No, at all. Like,
Even if I pushed you into it.
What?
You've had 5 long centuries to prove
The fucking game is pointing out.
Wow, you know, Lightning, it's nice of you to actually reflect on this. Maybe if you were this, I don't know, considerate of people's students in the first 15 game, I might have had a chance of liking you from the get-go.
You deserve a new beginning in a new world.
How about a reboot?
No,
not
thank
sure.
you.
Not
No,
sure
thank
it's a
you.
good idea.
Just let this trilogy die.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The 13 trilogy remaster.
So, why is-
Well, I don't have a problem with it getting PS4 remasters. I mean, all they really have to do is take the PC versions and, you know, port them to the PS4. I don't mind them re-releasing the games. I just don't want a reboot because, just focus on remaking or rebooting stuff that's actually worth remaking, like Final Fantasy VII.
Hey. But, if
But
I'm
what are
get
you
a
gonna
second
wait?
lease on
What are you
life,
gonna have for the
maybe
10-year
it's
wait
time
though?
I stop
Like, what are you
living in
gonna
the
do?
shadows.
I'll be fine. I have other games. Unlike a lot of gamers out there, I have patience.
Not just that, Shiro. Necessity sparks new horizon. Let me just say that. Chirping birds on a bleak background.
La 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 la.
That is seen as a victory screen.
Well, so you brought up Bambi earlier. That's exactly what they're doing. They're doing the Bambi thing. La 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 la.
This fucking game.
Something wrong?
Alright.
The
Reading
cathedral in
time.
Luxarians is home to a saint. No, it's not. She is heavily guarded, and the only way to meet her is late at night. Get into the cathedral, then you will have to first clear up a little problem with her servant, because of course you do.
Yeah.
Who can found near the entrance to the cathedral. Try visiting the cathedral between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. to meet Aramia, which is what we'll do in the next part.
How bad could it be?
Why can't you just
Well,
state that?
music is telling you, but it's not, you know.
Why can't you just
Oh,
say that?
This is not the time nor the moment.
You,
I
shush.
didn't know.
And you too, and you too.
Hoped he'd come up with
You're both
Everyone
grounded.
We will not
You're,
be
bo-
silent.
you're both grounded. You're both grounded.
So we're gonna have him
You're
play
not my
Beyond Two
mother.
Souls?
Now think about what you've done.
Why can't you just stay dead? Why? Why can't you just stay
But
dead? I would be so
Pedro-
happy if you just stayed
But
dead.
Pedro, they technically are dead, as per this universe, apparently.
Oh jeez.
Then why is she still there yapping her fucking mouth?
It's
Go back
called
to your grave,
Words
young
Beyond the Grave.
Anyway, see you for the next part.
See you
See you,
then.
everybody.
So, yeah.